Welcome to a camera comparison between the Honor 200 Pro and the iPhone 15. They're two similarly priced phones. So front-facing cameras right now, 4K 30 frames per second. That is all they can do. They cannot do 4K 60. Audio sources I'm swapping over between them. I'm on the latest firmware between both of these phones, of course. And stabilization with the front-facing cameras is electronic. A short jog here just to test out which one is the steadiest. Not that you would be running or jogging when you are vlogging like this. Rear cameras now, this is the ultra wide on both of them. Slightly wider with the iPhone 15. Now we cannot shoot 4K 60 with the iPhone at all with the rear cameras, but you can shoot 4K 60 with the Honor 200 Pro. Now swap over to our main cameras, so both of them have optical and electronic image stabilization. Now looking at the Castle of Denia, I can apply a bit of digital zoom, so I'll take it up to 2 times. This is the preset here with the iPhone 15, and we have a 3 times preset with the Honor 200 Pro, but I'm going to zoom back just a little here and make that now equal to the iPhone, so that is 2 times digital. You start going over that, it starts to look a little bit blurry, pixelated. It's not really the best, so I wouldn't apply too much digital zoom. So there's a bit of a storm coming, so unfortunately I don't have amazing weather for this. But it is what it is, and they're both in the same kind of conditions here. So back to the ultra wide camera, moving along, checking out that stability. Which one looks the steadiest? Low light rear cameras, 4K 30 frames per second. I can see a little bit of lens flare with the iPhone 15 at times, but it's also happening with the Honor 200 Pro too. As I pan around, we should not see any judder, any drop frames. Both should look smooth, sharp. Hopefully not a lot of noise with the sky, which often phones do struggle processing that. And oh, there we go, I can see some definite lens flare with the iPhone 15. See that in the sky? And oh, there we go, we do have some of it with the Honor 200 Pros mentioned, so both of them seem to be about the same there with the lens flare. Over to stills now. So first up, this is the portrait mode. Now Honor has that Harcourt special portrait mode. You can shoot in the classic black and white, which I can do here, but the iPhone doesn't allow me to do just a black and white shot. You can take a color shot and then later just make it black and white, of course. But you see here indoors that the iPhone 15 did struggle with the focus, so the Honor shot clearly here is better even though it's lacking color. But I could choose a color option, which I've done now. Very different color profiles. This is down to personal preference, of course. The iPhone 15, typical iPhone, very warm. The whites looking quite warm. Their skin tones warm again. And the stitching, probably the best because you can see the finer little hairs there. However, I like the look of the Honor 200 Pro. It has a very professional look to it, of course, coming from Harcourt. It's different, a little bit of a vintage look, I think, too, as well, the coloring of it. But the contrast, the shadows, everything all up, I think it's a really good portrait. Back to the classic black and white looking photos. Now with the iPhone 15 you can turn on the studio mode. Now that removes the background. So again, you're probably better off if you just used the normal shot in color, made it black and white. But here the Harcourts you can see has different shadows processing with that. The hair, the resolution does look a better. It's more defined. You've got a lot more detail I find with the Honor 200 Pro's shot here, which looks a lot more pleasant if you're going to be taking this black and white classic style portrait. What about selfies? Well, if you take a lot of selfies, you'll probably want to go with the Honor because it does give you a wider field of view. You can fit more in this shot. Skin tones look a little more pleasant, I would say, on the Honor. Again, this is all subjective, personal preference. Background blur with the iPhone, and the iPhone stitching is, however, better than the Honor. Ultra wide photos. The iPhone has a slightly wider field of view, so you can get more in the shot. It applies a little bit more sharpening, certainly a lot more than the Honor, and the colors are a little warmer. More true to life colors are the Honor, but both of the shots are very good with the ultra wide. Main cameras now, both are very similar. They do capture a lot of detail, and this time around it's the iPhone 15 that has the more realistic colors. Both of them capture the sky really well. A tad better with the Honor, the sky, but overall I think the general better image this time is the iPhone. Bright flowers like this light pink hibiscus were captured better with the Honor. The Honor didn't clip the colors as much. It didn't go over the top with the saturation, and there was less color fringing, and overall just a generally better looking image, especially when I crop in now to 200%. You can definitely see what I'm talking about when you look at the tiny bits of pollen there on the flower. Certainly is captured better, and the different shades of pink with the Honor. With this shot of my cat Vera, I focused on her pink nose, and the iPhone got that focused lock just a bit better than the Honor, as you can see as I crop in. Now, in terms of colors, the iPhone's a little bit oversaturated, especially that grass. It's nice and green, but not as green as it is shown here. And then the white with her fur looks a little bit somewhere in between the Honor and the iPhone. So both of them didn't quite nail the white balance, but it is the iPhone's photo that is the better of the two. With this indoors shot, which is quite difficult because I want to test out the HDR. We've got a bright window on the left, we have a darker patch where the fireplace is, and straight away you can see that the iPhone image is a little brighter. It tends to capture more details in the shadows, especially where the fireplace is. That area you can see more details compared to the Honor. However, look at the grain, the noise that is present with the iPhone. With its HDR processing, it has introduced quite a bit more noise to it, so it doesn't look amazing. The Honor shot is good with less noise, but doesn't capture as much detail in the areas where there are shadows. With low light, what I'm typically seeing is that the shots are better with the Honor most of the time. For example, this shot here of these yachts, sun has set about 30 minutes ago, and you can see that there's a lot more noise when I crop in, especially with the iPhone 15. The image doesn't look as sharp, and it's just that noise there that puts me off a little bit. So you can clearly see it's the Honor that's better. Same story with this shot. It looks a little bit more realistic to the colors with the Honor 200 Pro versus the iPhone. And when I crop in again, you can see that there is noise and grain with the iPhone shot. So clearly it's the Honor that wins with low light with this particular scene. With this scene, I did focus on the palm tree, which has the lights around it. And there are more details captured with the Honor versus the iPhone, and you get a little bit more background blur that looks a bit more pleasant with the Honor, but it's subjective. They are very close with this particular scene. So here are my findings. For video quality, that was easy. It's the iPhone. It had the smoother, better video footage, especially vlog footage just looked a lot better. However, the audio quality, I think, was just a fraction better, a little better with the Honor. Now, the Honor for portrait photos, I think, was better because indoors the photos looked a lot clearer. You then have that studio Harcourt style professional looking portrait shots that you can take as well, which is something quite different. The iPhone does well with the portraits, but they tend to be a little too warm. So I lean towards the Honor with this. Now, rear cameras, ultra wide, the iPhone over sharpened a little. Colors tended to be between both of them. Sometimes it was a little bit more color accurate with the Honor, sometimes a little less with the iPhone. But in low light, to me, that went to the Honor. So if you take a lot of video, you want to get an iPhone. If you take a lot of portrait photos and low light photos, I would go with the Honor 200 Pro. So thank you so much for watching this comparison. Do subscribe for more, and I do hope to see you back in the channel. Bye for now.